I'm so excited to teach at the Fine Arts Work Center this summer because I cannot imagine a better place to spend a week this summer surrounded by other writers who want to be doing exactly that. When I thought about what is the workshop that I really want to teach at the Fine Arts Work Center this summer, this is it. So I'm teaching the workshop of my dreams, Seedy verse, queer, trans, eco poetry. And to me, eco poetry is really about like that eco of relationships. So like living beings in relationship to each other and also living beings in relationship to the environment. So we'll be writing about that, but we will also be doing that. And this workshop is for anyone who wants to explore or deepen the queer, trans, and the seedy or wild or messy in your poems. Even if you have no idea what that means for you yet, that is great. Come find out. We will be reading poems by other poets. We'll be doing lots and lots of writing, just sort of amassing heaps of your own language throughout the week, and then playing around with different ways to shape that. And sharing that process with each other and supporting each other along. My hope is that students will come away from my workshop with not only a bunch of things on paper, more piles of words than hopefully you know what to do with during that particular week, but can bring home with you and will keep kind of feeding the compost pile of your own process for maybe even the year to come. And I also want students to come away with a bit more abstractly, just kind of whatever permission slips you need and want for sinking more messily into your own process, and being familiar with new poets, both in the workshop and in work that we read throughout the week, and just feeling really alive in your poems is my total hope and goal for my students. And as a teacher, I consider it like a great luck of my life to be able to offer workshops and share my relationship to poetry with other people. I think anyone who wants to widen your own scope of what's possible in a poem, which really I think is all of us, should take my workshop. Eco poetry. So for me, it takes, it starts with the assumption of kind of like poems are written in a particular place by particular bodies, and all of the different kind of details and imprints of like the people and places get to go into the poems. And I love that about it, the poems being a kind of trace, or even more than a trace, of like where and how and by who they were written. And the eco for me, with eco poetry, I'm always kind of going back to like that eco in the root, and it really is all about like relationships. And for me, that also makes clear how eco poetry is not even quite the same thing as nature poetry. I think of nature poetry, and this is a generalization, obviously, as sort of, writing in a mode of like awe and reverence about the physical environment, but from a distance, as if humans are not, intricately webbed into the landscape. Whereas eco poetry for me is like, we're here alongside all of these other animals, and sort of expanding the poem to open up this sense of like of social engagement with the world. And so that's the angle where I'm coming from. And then queer and trans ecopoetics, more so for me, brings this really interesting and really exciting question of like, what even is natural? And all the ways that that has been sort of wielded like against queer and trans life and queer and trans experience. So for me, this workshop in particular also is like, I hope, to bust all of that open, and to do that in like a really, for me, dreamy place of Provincetown and at the Fine Arts Work Center, which I think is just going to have so much to offer this process for the week of like being in place and relating to each other, and like busting open ideas of like what is natural and what it means to be in relationship with the physical environment and with each other. In this spirit, some of the writers that we will be reading and or inspired by throughout the week may include C.A. Conrad, Essex Hemphill, Jenny Johnson, Brian Tier, Petra Kuppers, Eli Clare, Wo Chan, and probably more, just to give a preview. I can't wait to meet you, whoever you are who signs up for my class. I'm thinking about you already, and I am very excited to spend a week with you.